How did Suzie go from studying international relations, famously known as IR, to dabbling in makeup and fashion, to building her own makeup line and the first beauty brand in Kenya and East Africa at large, to selling it for 45 million? Wow. That story coming up shortly. Don't go anywhere. Yeah, so Sue went to study IR in America, and but while she was there, her love for makeup really grew, and she began interacting with the makeup artists, began actually volunteering her services to do makeup for free and all of that, was able to volunteer in different platforms, and she said it was really hard because, of course, America was way advanced in terms of the cosmetic industry than we are here in Kenya. And actually, some of her inspirations included even one of her own sisters who was in the beauty industry as well. So anyway, she got to learn and moved back to Kenya in late 2007 with the anticipation of really starting off her career. But then remember, we had the elections towards this, actually that was in December of 07, and the elections took a bit of a bad turn. And 2008, early 2008, no one was able to work. And so she began asking herself, where have I have I lost my track here? Am I going to ever be able to work? It was quite bad for those of us who were there. You will remember what happened in Kenya then. Anyway, thank God that the situation was resolved, and actually she says 2008 became probably one of her best years because she was able to work on Mnet, and that was, I think, the time of Idols, and many other projects came up, and they were able to actually really start doing makeup professionally in Kenya and in East Africa at that time. So, but then Sue noticed something. She noted that the products that were here were not really suited for the Kenyan and African skin. And even what was coming in from America was really still not suitable. Very expensive, but not comfortable for the African skin. And so one time she told her husband, I think that was in 2009, that, I'm going to start my own makeup line. And the hubby said, go for it, why not? And so that journey began of networking, went ahead to talk to one of the, guys who was in UN, who connected them to, UN is University of Nairobi, connected them to the top chemist professor, in the university. And she was given access to the lab to play around with the ingredients and all. Was able to do several iterations until she, got a formula. But then now the other hurdle was, where do you manufacture these things from? Because the prof told her on her list, I think he struck off almost every other item, telling her this is not available in Kenya, this you won't get here, this you can't get locally. And so she was like, wait, so what are we able to get here? Anyway, they had to again go out of the country and go to look for manufacturers. I think they found some in China. And so Susie's beauty line was born. And one of the things why I brought up that story was you can see passion there. The fact that she really wanted to do makeup and do it well. And actually one of her statements she says is, I don't know whether you've ever heard this, especially for the girls. I know for the men on makeup, we are really, we really don't have a vote or a voice there. But for the girls, she says that people should not notice your makeup. They should notice your face looks great. So the makeup has really blended into your skin. That's now the true hallmark of great makeup. It should not be so obvious that you're made up. Anyway, so you can see passion there. And so Suzie went ahead to build, Susie's beauty, and worked with her husband and several other people. and developed several lines of different items in the makeup forte. But then they went on, and at some point now they noticed where the inventory, shipping, all those logistics were a difficult thing. And for her, she actually says her love was just makeup. But the issues of finance, lawyers, agreements, those were, they become a stress to her. Thankfully, her husband was there and he helped her through. But then at some point, they noticed the debt, there's just too much debt accumulating because of them trying to satisfy the demand in the market, because the products grew very popular. And she's very good in PR. So again, the point of you knowing your strength, good in PR, good in doing marketing, connecting with customers. But on the issue of finance, inventory and all of that, so they realized that, remember we said business also needs partnerships and strategic partnerships where we bring strengths on the table. They realized they would need a strategic partner who could now pump in the money that was required for them to take the brand to the next level. So discussions began. The word got out into the market that, yes, Suzie is selling, Suzie is selling. So a number of agreements started, but they collapsed along the way. And then finally, Flame Tree Cosmetics came, and they were able to take the deal through to completion. And they sold for, I think, about 45 million Kenya shillings. That would be about, in dollar, how much is that? That would be about 300 and maybe what, $380,000. Yeah, probably something like that. I will I'll put a comment if the figure is wrong, but yeah. And so they were able to sell off, and at least Suzie still retained her role in the company as developer of the product, because this was her baby. And she says that, when you start a business, there are those who start to sell, which is okay. You can do that as an entrepreneur, and it's a good trend. You start a business and sell it off at, of course, a profit. But generally, there are those who start and want to nurture their baby for life. But for her, it got to a point where now, for the sake of the baby, the sale was inevitable. So, but the story is a story of passion, a story of dedication, a story of noticing a gap in the market and going ahead to start to work to fill it in spite of so many odds and so many challenges. Basically, the terrain was so rough, in terms of no material, no raw material, no manufacturing facilities, so much. But she was still able to sail through and build a brand that is still there today. Suzie's Beauty is still a line today. And now she's actually working on something different. She launched SP Dada, which will still be like Suzie's Beauty Dada, which is now for the millennials and the Gen Z. And she was able to study that this generation now actually wants to develop products with the developer. Very interesting. So it's not just mommy is cooking in the kitchen and brings food for the children to eat. No, the children want to cook with mommy and tell her, can you add this spice? Can you try this? Can you try this? Let's see how the food will taste. I'm using a food example here. So, but basically that is how SB Data is now unfolding, that the clients and the customers are actually working with the brand owner or the brand custodian, because the clients own the brand. So they're working with her to develop very interesting products on that line. Yeah, so it's good for you to learn, to see how you can evolve with time, with how trends change, how as the generations change, the needs may become different, or how they want their needs met may be a little bit different. So as a business owner, are you able to now flow with that trend and with the changes and still remain relevant years later? This is now 2024, so this is 15 years later, and still Suzie Wokabi has retained her relevance in the beauty and makeup industry. So are you thinking of venturing into a terrain which you feel is rough, is really uncharted waters, just like Suzie when she was venturing into makeup here in Kenya and in Africa? Well, be inspired, be encouraged. You can actually can do something revolutionary and become revolutionary in your own right, in that new terrain, that you feel that God has inspired you to do something, to build a product or a service that is indeed going to change people's lives for the better. So I encourage you to do it. Don't be afraid. And yeah, we are there to support you all the way, and really rely on the grace and the strength and the wisdom of God, and learn as much as you can as you go along the journey. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will link some of the videos for you to watch Suzie's story. But most importantly, don't be afraid to go into uncharted waters. Yeah, just go for it. As Suzie's husband will tell her, I will tell you the same. Go for it. Why not? Shalom Aleichem. God bless you. Share what you've learned in this video. Comment down below. Share the video. And see you next time.